Is it actually possible? We can manifest our spouse? Hey there, my friend. I'm Super Sid, the business shaman, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Life Coach Launch School. And in this video, we're specifically going to be answering the question, is it possible that we can manifest our spouse? And if it is possible, how in the world can we do it? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over a few different steps that I've looked back on through manifesting my current spouse, Tiffany, the NLP Queen, some things that we did, and we might actually see some patterns in this process that tie back to some other manifestation things that we've talked about here on this channel. Let's rock and roll. So looking back, I've actually looked at 3 specific things that I know that I did, or 3 areas of things that I focused on right during this process. And coming from someone who was divorced, coming from someone who was married before and is now on their second marriage, I can tell you that I completely did it a separate way. And I'm a lot more happier now in this marriage than I was in the marriage previously. And ultimately, the marriage previously led to a massive destruction that was a really hard part of my life. So I used to be married a previous lifetime ago. And ultimately, when I got married, which was around 12 years ago, I got married very, very young, and ultimately married for the wrong reasons. I went out there and just thought that I needed to be married because everybody thought that I needed to be married, my family or my friends or whatever. And ultimately, I didn't put a lot of emphasis on who it was that I was marrying. I just went out there and married someone that was pretty, had great assets, right? And ultimately that I felt was great to walk on someone's arm with. The person that I thought, right, everybody else wanted me to marry. But ultimately what this led down for me, without doing any of the work prior that I'm going to talk about in this video, is it actually led me to a divorce, being cheated on, and losing everything that I'd worked for during those few years of being married in my first marriage. And ultimately what it led to was getting a phone call from someone saying that they didn't know that she was married, because ultimately she had been cheating on me with this person that called me for a very long time. So the first thing that I really want to make sure that I look at, and it actually happens twofold. There's 2 things that we actually do here, but it all falls under the same umbrella. And the first time I didn't really do this. In my first marriage, I did not do this at all. I just sort of walked into it and was like, oh, this is fun. I'm just gonna, the fun will continue. It didn't, right? So ultimately, one of the first things we have to do is identify what it is that we want, right? What is it that we want out of life? Because when we get married, right, I've found that the marriage actually forms 2 lives and forms them into one to make even a greater life. And that we usually act as a team. In the first marriage that I have, we weren't a team. It was my ego versus her ego, and us each wanting to get what we wanted. We never came together, so ultimately all we did was fight. All we did was break apart, and ultimately what that caused was both of us not getting anything that we wanted and being miserable. Whereas in this marriage, I find that we act more as a team, we fuse together, and ultimately help us start manifesting and getting a lot more of the dreams and reaching a lot more of the goals that we wanted. And what it was I focused on those goals that I wanted. I made sure that I wrote down everything that it was that I wanted to achieve, so that I met someone, they knew what that was. And ultimately they were on board with me wanting to go out there and achieve those things. And it would maybe just even be a bonus if they would go out there and they would want to help me in achieving those things. So really the first thing I had to identify was, what is it that I wanted? This wasn't just something that I thought about. I wrote this stuff down. I actually had a journal where I wrote all this stuff down, and I looked at it and I stared at it. And by doing that, I started only focusing on the things that I wanted and doing things around the things that I wanted that were going to help me achieve those things. By doing that, I started putting myself into the environment of people that wanted the exact same things, and thus was how eventually that I met Tiffany and ultimately my wife now. Now, the second thing that we did, which falls under the same umbrella, is we also write a list of the qualities that we want in a spouse, or in a significant other, or in a partner, right? And ultimately, we are very, very specific about what we want in a partner, but we also do not bend the rules, and we do not change the goalpost, and we do not make it more lenient, and we do not, say, oh, well, they don't have these couple of things, but it's okay, they got everything else. No, for me, it was the person that I had to find, right, had to fall under all of those things that I wrote down. And I wrote down like 40 or 50 things when I wrote this stuff down. Things that I wrote down is I wanted them to be passionate. I wanted them to have a hunger for life. I wanted them to be as goal-oriented as I was. I wanted someone who wanted to help heal the world like me. I wanted someone who was adventurous and who wasn't afraid to go outside, to go on adventures, didn't want to be cooped up inside all the time. Things like that. And then I found Tiffany. But what was really interesting was I found Tiffany through starting to walk through becoming the person that I wanted to become and reaching the goals that I wanted to reach. She was found in that environment. And then I had basically the criteria of who I wanted to meet. So when I met Tiffany, right, and she started checking off all these boxes, it became very, very apparent that this might be the person that I need to be with. Before I go into the next part of this video and I talk about the next two things in regards to what I found out when it came to manifesting Tiffany and manifesting the best wife I could ever find and the best partner I could ever find in my life, I want to remind you to subscribe to this channel. This channel is all about life transformation and helping people start a healing journey so they can get to the life transformation and transform into manifesting everything that they want. If that sounds something that you want, by subscribing to this channel, this helps more people get that message and ultimately more people get the help to transform their life into everything that they want. Make sure to click that button down there below and subscribe. All right, so let's go into the second thing that I started doing in regards to manifesting, right, my wife, or any manifesting really anything in life that we talk about, right, in any one of our other manifestation videos. And that really comes to a big piece of this, right, which is what we call actionable activity. And this actionable activity is the part of becoming, right, what it is that we want to attract to us. If we are wanting to attract a specific person to us, it becomes very, very apparent to me, and through the history of being able to attract a lot of things in my life through the law of attraction, that we must become the thing that we want someone to attract to. So if I'm wanting someone who is really into health, that would probably mean that I'm not eating Twinkies every day, that I'm not out going, that I'm not out smoking cigarettes, or that I'm not out, like eating McDonald's every day. That maybe I have an interest in going out there and I have an interest in, a healthy body or a healthy mindset, whatever that might be. Because if I'm not that person, it doesn't make any sense that I'm going to attract someone that I want to attract. So it's very, very important that in this process, we start becoming the person that we want to be, because by becoming the person that we want to be, through taking the actionable activities to starting to go and put ourselves into those environments, like I put myself into that environment to find Tiffany, is it going to be really, really easy for us to be able to go and to find and manifest the spouse that we want? Usually they are going to be in those environments that are going to help attract those people to us, and those environments are usually going to insist of us becoming, right, the thing that we said that we wanted in the first step of this video. The last piece of this, which I find is very, very important, really comes back down to the confidence piece. And ultimately, through doing the first couple of things, through kind of having that plan of what I want to achieve, what I want in somebody else, plus also having a plan of here's what I'm going to do every day to start getting that and doing that, now that helps start building the confidence of understanding there's the goalpost. That's what I'm looking to want. But as I start putting myself into those environments, putting myself into that reality, I start believing that that person is going to show up in my life. And ultimately, with confidence comes through the recognition of when that person enters, to recognize that person and ultimately recognize that that's the person that I need to start pursuing. I find it very, very interesting, and especially in my journey of finding Tiffany, even though Tiffany was right in front of me, I tried pushing her away. And even though I knew, right, that this was the person that I probably was going to spend the rest of my life with, I did some really stupid things on that path, right, and regressing and trying to push her away, and ultimately not recognizing specifically that, hey, this is exactly what I want, and it might be different, but guess what? My life transformation is pushing me into that direction. This is the direction that I need to go, and believing that ultimately, yes, this is, recognizing that this is the person that I need to pursue. That was such a big thing for me, because growing up, I wasn't someone that liked to date. I wasn't someone that liked to go out there and be in these long relationships. But ultimately, when I found the one, and I knew it was the one, something that I had to learn was that I needed to hold on tight, and I ultimately needed to continue the progress that I was doing, because this was someone who was going to push me. This was someone who was going to hold my feet to the fire, but ultimately this was someone who was going to not just be a spouse and be someone that I was going to make babies with and who was going to cook me dinner. This was going to be someone that was going to be a team member and ultimately reaching a bigger vision that not only I wanted, but that we both wanted. And when we both recognized that, it was 100% full throttle, full gas into manifesting everything it is that we wanted, including this 92-acre ranch that I'm sitting on right now in the Great Smoky Mountains. All right, so we went over the three things in this video that I did right, in regards to manifesting my spouse. And some of these maybe you've done, maybe some of them you've never heard of. I would highly suggest that you start doing those things if you're looking to manifest someone, you know, that you want in your life, that you can love, because ultimately, right, these 3 steps helped me accelerate the process in finding Tiffany. And ultimately, this round of marriage is a lot better than the last one that I got divorced from. So I highly suggest that following these things that I've found, because they've helped me, and I'm confident that they'll help you. But one thing in regards to finding the spouse that we wanted really comes down to the process that we take in ourselves every single day. Something that I did that I didn't even know that I was doing when I started going out there and manifesting Tiffany was I began a self-healing process, and I began getting rid of all of the bad that was in my life, all the baggage that I had, so that I could go and I could start a new transformation into ultimately finding Tiffany. And the first steps that we do in this process is what we call a 7-day nervous system reset. It's 7 days to help recalibrate the nervous system, but ultimately get rid of all the baggage that is currently in our life and help set us up and tee us up to beginning that life transformation. It's absolutely free, and you can grab it down there in the description and start your 7-day nervous system reset with hundreds of other people that have started with us here in just the past couple of months. Go down there in that description, take action now, and start your journey with us on the 7-day nervous system reset so you can go out there and start manifesting the spouse of your dream. I'm Super Sid, the Business Shaman, and this is the Life Coach Launch School. We'll see you in the next video.